Stay tuned to meet Advocate Capital client Andy Darcy. Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Hey, thank you so much for being our customer. We appreciate you and Pat being our clients. Thank you for that.
It's our pleasure.
Great. And I invited you here today, Andy, to see if you would share with our viewers some of the aspects of what it's like to be an Advocate Capital client. Can you tell us a little bit about, before being a client and then how things may have changed since you're a client now?
Sure. Well, we're a plaintiff's law firm doing all trial work in New Jersey. And just like any plaintiff's firm that's growing and building, you have a large outlay of expenses on your files. Sure. So as all firms do, you do your best to utilize your funds appropriately and not in any way shortchange any clients. Right. But as our firm continued to grow in case volume and attorneys, we realized that the amount of money that you have to fund cases becomes an issue. Cash flow becomes an issue. Sure. And so when we found the solution provided by you and Advocate Capital, we were relieved and happy to jump on board.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you've joined us. So some of the folks watching this video are thinking about becoming a customer, but they have some concerns, right? One of the first things they say is, well, I don't need the money, right? And I tell them, well, that's okay because we're like a bank. We don't work with law firms that actually need the money. So if one of your friends said, yeah, I just don't need the money, Andy, what would you tell them?
Well, I would first, I guess, ask them why they're not in the island somewhere hanging out, because apparently they don't need money. But assuming that is not a real reality, and I understand that certain firms are better funded than others. There's a flexibility that comes with taking that one item off of your table. The funding of cases, especially on a practice that you want to grow, and if that's your focus, is growing the practice, right. Then funding is a major concern and should be considered as you're planning for your growth. And if you want to continue to market your practice, if you want to continue to draw a nice salary and pay your staff appropriately, if you want to give back to the community, which our firm does heavily in New Jersey, those are all money's needed for all of those items. So if I could take one ticket matter off of that, and that be the funding of my cases, well, then that's a great thing. And then, above that, I think it also puts you in a position where you have the ability to fund cases without any concern for having a penny pinch at all. And I know that, you never want to think that way, but, if there's only a limited amount of funds, there's only a limited amount of funds. And with Advocate Capital, of course, there's at least an open possibility to be able to spend appropriately for every single case.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because we have some folks say that they're concerned that passing through some borrowing costs to the case is going to negatively impact the client, which we don't want to do. Most of my clients tell me, though, the ability to spend more aggressively actually helps the client.
For sure. I think at the end of the day, the ability to have the flexibility to look for that extra expert, to make sure you get a second opinion on a case that you might not have done otherwise, puts you in a position to increase the value of the settlement or the verdict, and the value of the case. Yes, you have to be forthright with your client right out of the box. Make sure they understand and that you're ethically compliant with the interest passing through. And we've found that the clients understand that when they come to us, that they're getting a valued firm that is willing to go punch for punch with any defendant, any insurance company that comes their way.
Right. And then lastly, I think that makes total sense, right? You need to make sure people are not surprised, so you have to disclose that. And we tell everybody, you need to disclose it to your client, both ethically but practically speaking. Some prospective clients say, well, if I pass borrowing costs through, my clients are going to object to that. What's your experience been?
I have not seen that. Obviously it's I guess a matter of presentation and making sure that the client fully understands why we're using Advocate Capital. As you know, your earlier question suggested, maybe you don't, quote unquote, need it. And frankly, we don't quote unquote need it. We could fund our cases on our own, but we explain to our client the reason that we do this is because it provides us, and more importantly, them, with an advantage in the litigation. And I think once that's fully understood and explained, and the details are explained, the clients don't hesitate to jump on board because it's a value add rather than a negative.
Excellent. Yeah, that's been our experience as well. But thank you for sharing your personal experience. And Andy, thank you again for being our customer. Thank you for the work that you do in your community and for being the keys to the courtroom. The Seventh Amendment, most people don't know, is, you and I both know, it's the right to a jury trial. But what good is a jury trial right if you can't afford to get in the courtroom? And I know that you, being a contingent fee lawyer, really are the keys to the courtroom for so many people across the state of New Jersey. So thank you, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it.